welcome to the demonstration of Introduction to Geographic Information Systems, Lab 3. I'm going to do this using the virtual machine. So the first thing I want to do is I want to launch my Internet Explorer. And I have a button up here for Virtual Workspace. When you click on that, you should put that in your bookmarks. You'll have this little pop-up. You click OK. And then you're going to have to log in using your email ID and password. There's been a little bit of a few issues come up with the virtual desktop. They're related to memory. Once you get to this screen, left click on the GIS monitor. And if you'll remember, I sent out an announcement that after you're finished with your lab, make sure you copy your lab folder over to the C drive on your machine, your desktop or laptop that you're using, and delete all files that you created on the virtual desktop. I think they've gone ahead and installed a software that will take all of that off of there, but just in case, because I want everybody to have a clean slate when they open up their virtual desktop. Okay, so here we are on the virtual desktop. If we take a look at the computer itself, you'll remember we have a C drive. That's actually the virtual C drive. And then if you look down here, my machine at home, or the laptop that I use, is called Magellan. And this is the C drive on Magellan. So we're going to need that anyways. I've had some students contact me about a little choppy sort of nature to the activities that happen on this desktop. A lot of that has to do with your connection speed. Okay, so let's go ahead and launch Internet Explorer on this side. And by the way, you can minimize the virtual desktop and get back to your other desktop. So here we want to connect to aum.edu. And we want to go to the Blackboard site. If you remember, my landing page looks a lot different than yours because I have all these classes that I'm teaching on there. We're going to go to the second 3950, which is the online version. I'm going to change this to edit mode off so it looks a little bit more like yours. We're going to go to the learning modules, and we'll go to topic 3, working with polar coordinates. And in this particular instance, I fortunately came right up on the data I'm going to save as. I'm going to go to Computer, click on the C drive, and as we always do, new folder and your surname, Lab 03. Open that up and save the file into that folder. Apparently already saved. Let's go ahead and minimize this. Take a look at the C drive. There it is. Okay, you double left click to open this, and we're going to Control A. We'll select everything. Control C. We'll copy it. Left click, back in the tree, get back to the folder. Control V. You do not want any of your files to be any deeper inside this folder. except inside the folder. So you should be able to open this folder and have these files in there. The only instance when you would have another folder inside here would be an ArcInfo file, an ArcView shape file. Sometimes you might have some imagery, georeferenced images you would keep in there. But I'd like to see just about everything there. I'm going to go ahead and right click on this and delete that from there. Let's take a look at what's in here. If we double left click on this, this is the lab itself. And my demo will not follow exactly the sequence that you are working through this lab. I want to make sure you understand that operations that I perform in demos are not necessarily covered in the same context in one of these lab exercises. So if I ask you, for example, to create a text feature and place Alabama, like I do here in 24-point Garamond, in the south central portion of your map, I may not ask you to do it that way or demonstrate that in the same context during a demo. But making a text feature, creating a text feature is creating a text feature regardless of the context of how it's performed. So let's look through the lab. You'll notice there is a shortcut right here, and it goes to the USGS.gov's GeoNames server. And what that is a geographic name server that will provide you with the latitude and longitude of thousands of populated places or cities in the United States. They also have a international or foreign side to that particular server, and it'll give you a lat-long of parks, schools, lots of different kinds of features. You'll see in a minute what that looks like. Part 2 of this lab, I do not want you to do. You're not responsible for that. Forget that exists. This, where we list institution, latitude, and longitude, is part of this lab. Cities having a population greater than or equal to 1 million, you don't have to worry about that as well. So basically, all you are doing is part 1 of this lab and dealing with the latitude and longitude of these universities in the state of Alabama. So basically, what we're going to do is we're going to prepare a geo workspace and a warehouse. Then we're going to create a feature class for universities. Then we're going to create an attribute in that feature class for that particular map object, and that will be university name or name. Then we're going to go out on the web to the NEMA website, and we're going to query for the latitude and location in their database for these particular universities. We're going to insert them as features by the key-in method, which is somewhat onerous and slow. In Lab 5, you'll see how we can do this using a spreadsheet, and everything will be geocoded as fast as the speed of light. You also learn how to change a symbol in this particular lab. So there's lots of fun things we're going to do. And I would suggest that when you get your lab and you start working on it at home, go ahead and flip to the back of this, go to the NEMA site and go ahead and record the latitude and longitude for all of these in advance so you're ready for that. This is what the NEMA site looks like, USGS GeoNames Information Server. It's been renamed several times. You'll notice here's a window where we can place a feature name. So if it was, for example, Auburn University at Montgomery, we would type Auburn University at Montgomery. Here's a drop down for state. You'll notice county does not have this arrow down yet, but the minute you put state in there, then you're going to get a drop down for the county. So you should, if at all possible, know the county that these universities are located in, especially when you're dealing with University of Alabama Birmingham, which is in Jefferson County, and University of Alabama, which is in Tuscaloosa. So you need to know, you don't need to know that, but it's very helpful. Here in this particular scrolled area, we're going to get down and click on school. That's the feature type that this particular feature class is known as. Populated place in here would provide you with all cities. And then we're just going to click this same query button. Sometimes it returns two latitude and longitudes. One would be a modern day one, which is not labeled, and the other one would be historical, which might have historical in the remarks section. If it says historical or in the name section, it simply means that that was a historical place and may or may not exist anymore. The University of Alabama at Tuscaloosa has been around a long time. So you're going to have a historical location as well as a modern location, I believe, for that particular university. So that's the lab sheet. Let's go ahead and let that open because we're going to use this link. And as a matter of fact, let's left click on that, and that should launch Internet Explorer. And we're at the domestic names page. So let's kind of leave that there and minimize it. And we'll minimize this. The other thing that I have in here, the other file, is a Word doc. And it simply has some links to either the international GeoName server site, which has a little bit different look and feel to it, and then another link to the GeoNames domestic server. And you copy and paste that into your browser. We don't need that. And then you have US sample data. So that's what we're going to work with. There are a couple ways to skin a cat, as some of those old country boys say. Everything you do in this particular lab, I believe, is centers around the state of Alabama. So I'm going to show you a way to actually filter out Alabama from US sample database, and you know from previous labs that you can also query it out and output that as a feature class in a new warehouse. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to launch GeoMedia by going to Start, All Programs. If you don't have a link up on the desktop, left click on GeoMedia Professional. Once again, remember that you have to create your project folder for each exercise. We're going to get a blank Geo Workspace, click OK, and since I'm using virtual desktop, I'm going to have to fix my toolbars, so I'll left click on this one and hold it and drag it up there. I'm having some mouse issues tonight. Nothing like having mouse issues. Okay, we got two there. Pull this down here. Pull this down here. Left click and hold is giving me some issues. I might have to do it by using the touchpad. And it drives slow. There you go. The magic of computer science. Okay, so now we have a nice large map window. I'm going to get my legend just a little bit larger here. Left click and hold and drag it over a little bit. By the way, if you right click in the white space in the map window outside any feature, you can notice there's this position legend option at the bottom, and it expands to left, right, or floating. Let's say right. We'll place it over there. Floating will make it so you can left click and hold and kind of drag it around anywhere. That is actually the old look that GeoMedia used to have. I prefer left. Okay, if we go to warehouse connections, we have no connections. So we could go warehouse new connection, or since we're here, new will get us there as well. More than one way to skin a cat. And we're going to call this one US sample because that's what we're going to connect to. Remember, these are the connection types. Access database. Access read-only simply opens up the database and makes it so whatever modifications or additions, tables, whatever else you do will not be preserved. So we do not use read-only. Some of my labs have a vestige read-only in there. Don't worry about that. We have ArcInfo, ArcViewCAD, FRAM, lots of different connections, but we're using US sample. We left click the browse button. We do not take the first US sample data Microsoft Access database that comes up because that's the default in the warehouse folder. We want to go to C. We want to go down to our folder, double left click, and take US sample there and open it. Click OK. And now we have this. This is a little bit different because we're doing it from the connections window, and we can close. Let's go ahead and create another warehouse. So warehouse, new warehouse. On this screen, always take new. It's just asking you what template you want, and you want a normal Microsoft Access Database template. You do not want to save it in the warehouses folder. You want to save it in your lab folder. By the way, some of you have sent me your lab work, and all it has in there is a Geo workspace. That is a no-no. I need your warehouse files. Do not send me just a Geo workspace file. And we're going to name this one universities. So now if we look up in the warehouse connections button, we have two, Access US Sample, and we have universities. I'm going to close that. If we look at warehouse feature class definition, which is a place you will be a lot, you'll notice we have this expandable plus sign here. So if we expand that, you'll see we have all these features. Once again, the three basics, points, polygons, and line features. They also have images and text in here, but for your consideration, there are three features that we've worked with that are vector features, points, lines, and polygons. Universities has no plus, so it's not expandable, meaning there's nothing in there. So what we would do there is create a feature class in there. First thing I want you to do is I want you to display let's do states and counties from US sample. So we're going to go to legend, add legend entry, click the drop down. If we wanted to display everything, we could just check this and not even drop it down. I suggest you always do that. Well, let's catch rivers too. I always like to have them. So counties, rivers, and states. Click OK. And there they are. Fortunately for us, well, the states doesn't look correct. This is not a acceptable color for the boundary, so let's make it black and OK. Rivers shouldn't be green. Let's make those blue while we're being picky about this. Okay. The only other two elements we need in this map window to make it a map are the scale bar and north arrow. So we're going to put the north arrow down there, and I'm too lazy to change it, so we'll just use that one. Scale bar, we have to change it because it's in kilometers. Double left click on it, go to intervals, and change the drop down here under units from kilometers to miles. And style, let's go ahead and make it double block. Just adds a little color to your life until you do a thematic. So now we have miles, north arrow, United States, up there with counties, and states and rivers. What I want to do is, that if we left click and hold and move these up in the hierarchy of the legend, that places the selectability at the top. So let's go ahead for the fun of it and take a look at this particular toolbar here, which is the filter options toolbar. You notice this little icon, I call it a funnel. It's a funnel, could be a speaker, an old-fashioned speaker. If we left click on that button right there, and I believe it's spatial filter options, left click, basically we have some choices about the coincidence. We're using actual geometry, we'll leave that go, that's the default. It's for map window 1. This is a button that you can select the color of anything that's selected. So that'll be display the filter. And what this does is everything that's inside whatever you have selected, regardless of its layer, if that feature is inside, regardless of whether you can see it on the screen or not, it will be selected and will be able to appear in your map window. You'll be able to make it appear in the map window. Anything outside the boundary of whatever you selected for the map object will not be visible in your map window. So we're going to leave this go. This is what we want inside. Click OK. Now, if I roll down here, you'll notice that Alabama turns this bluish color. If I left click, now it's green. I'm going to go up here to this icon right here, which is select set. And what it does is it selects everything that's inside whatever the boundary is of what I have selected and makes that visible. So if I left click, you'll notice that now all that's visible is the boundary of Alabama and the counties and whatever portion of the line segment that makes up the rivers in Alabama that is completely within the boundaries. So let's go ahead and fit all. And now you'll notice that we have just the state of Alabama. If I turn this off by clicking this right here, all the other counties appear. So we know this is set correctly, turn this back on. And you'll notice if you try and turn it back on and you haven't selected anything, you get an error message. So click OK. Left click. Now you notice the boundary's green, and turn it on again, and there you go. Now there are some caveats to this. Sometimes if you develop features that are outside these boundaries, they may or may not appear if they are in another warehouse. So if you have another warehouse that has US sample in there and has all 3,000 some odd counties, and you opt to use those county features to make a label for counties, you're going to get labels not only inside the select set, but outside the select set as well. So be cautious about this. I'm using this just as a demonstration. This is not honestly my preferred way to work in a geo workspace when I'm focused entirely on something that should be mined out of a data set. So let's go ahead and get rid of the spatial filter. So you know how to do that now. If that's all you want someone to see, you may or may not opt to use that when you turn in the lab. Or you may do it this alternative way. We're going to go back into warehouse, new warehouse. We're going to create a new warehouse. Now you notice we defaulted to our folder, and we're just going to make one up for Alabama. So we have 3 warehouses. First thing we want to do is we're going to query out counties and a state boundary from US sample and copy them over, output them into Alabama. So that's a attribute query. Analysis, attribute query, select features in US samples, the only one that has features, counties, filter. You've done this before. So it's filter, where, state name, you can double click it, it'll go down there, equals single click, Show values, you do that all the time. You get a warning here because of large databases. And double left click Alabama, it's down there. Okay. We do not want to display the query in the map window, nor do we want to display it in the data window. We just want to do it. We're going to do one more analysis, attribute query. We've done the counties. We're going to do states, filter, where state name, double click, equals, show values, yes. Alabama, double click, OK. It's defaulted to the two settings before. We're not going to show it, and click OK. Now you remember that a query is not a feature class. It's not permanent. Every time you open up the Geo workspace, it executes that query, but you can't move it from one Geo workspace to another. In order to do that, you have to create a Microsoft Access database and output the query as a feature class. It takes all the attributes out of the attribute table for counties, for those particular counties, and moves them over as a feature. So the query has them in. You can actually make thematic maps of queries. But once again, query is not permanent. It could go away depending on what's used for. So let's go to warehouse, output to feature classes. We have two queries here. So we'll check both of those. It's going to go to Alabama. Here's where you got to be watchful because we have two warehouses that have no feature tables in. So GeoMedia only picked it because it's alphabetical order. It could have picked universities and you could have made a big mistake. So we're okay here. I don't like this naming convention, neither do you. It's generic, it's meaningless. So under attribute query, we're going to click once there, left click on the of, and go all the way back. I didn't quite get all the way back, so I'm going to try that again, and that is a mouse issue. I got it. And we're going to call that Alabama counties, and it has to have an underscore. This one, we're just going to call it Alabama. So those will be the names. I've seen some of your work has this query name in. Don't do that. I don't like that. Homie doesn't play that game. We're going to display the target feature classes in the map window. Click OK. It says it's going to output two feature classes. Go ahead. And they're going to be on the top, and there it is. OK. And let's go ahead now and turn off states. And let's turn off counties. And turn off rivers because that's US sample. So there you go. And then we can fit all, but now we have real features. You can double left click. There's the tabular data for that. So while we're here, we really don't need US sample anymore. So let's go up to warehouse, connections, and I'm going to go right here where this black arrow is, left click once, it highlights that. I'm going to delete that connection, say yes, close. So now we have this nice warehouse. We go up to warehouse connections, US is gone. If we go to analysis queries, you'll notice it's grayed out. So the queries are gone as well. So we're in good shape here. Now what we need to do is we need to create a feature class for universities that we're going to actually insert when we have the latitude and longitude for the universities. So in order to do that, we once again go to Warehouse Feature Class Definition. And this time we're going to highlight universities and left click New. The feature class is going to be called University. It's not going to be Auburn, Montgomery, University of Alabama, Tuscaloosa, Alabama State. It's going to be University. That's a generic toponym. Generic toponym. Toponyms in and of themselves usually have a generic portion to them and a specific portion. Like Phoenix City. City is the generic. It's a city. Phoenix is the specific portion of the toponym. University just tells us that that feature is a university. It's a point feature. We're going to preserve the projection that we have here. Click OK. Here it asks if you want to assign a primary key or let GeoMedia. You want GeoMedia to do that, so say yes. Okay, now we have the university, but we're not done. We want to make an attribute in there for university name. So it's highlighted. Let's go to Edit. And under the Attributes tab, left click right below ID. You've been here before. Left click once, then left click again. And let's just type university underscore, has to have an underscore, name. It's a text feature and it's 50 characters in length. That's plenty. Click OK and close. Very good. So we're there. We've done just about everything we need to do here. So what we need to do now is we need to go out to NEMA and get us a coordinate. Before we do that, I want you to look at the live action coordinate display, the changing real-time coordinate display up here. And as I move around, you notice latitude and longitude changes. The other thing I want you to look at is the format of those particular coordinates. You'll notice that it's in longitude first, then latitude, and it's D:(M:(S). That means that you have degrees, colon, separated by colon, minutes, separated by colon, seconds with thousandths of a second in there, very precise. And then you have latitude. The other thing I want you to understand is that if it's west, and that means west of the prime meridian, it has to be minus. If there's no minus here, it's going to plot 88 degrees of longitude east of the prime meridian. Prime meridian's in Greenwich, England, just a little bit outside London. So you're going to be over there somewhere in Asia if you forget to put this minus in here. There's a way to make sure you don't forget. I'll show you that way. You can do whatever you want, but if you mess up the format of these during the entry portion of this, you will not have good results. Okay, the other issue is that on the list, you'll notice that we have Auburn, Montgomery, Auburn, Auburn. That's fine. They're about 60 miles apart. Tuscaloosa and University of Alabama Jefferson, which is UAB, another 40, 50 miles, maybe not that far, but they're plenty far apart. University of North Alabama's way up there. Troy's way down there. Huntington College, Alabama State, and Auburn University Montgomery are all clustered within about 10 miles or less of each other. What that means is, to you, is that when you're plotting them, if you're not cautious and you're zoomed out to this level, remember the circle around the point of the select arrow there is the snap tolerance. Well, look how big that is. If that was Montgomery, it's probably, 3 or 4 miles. If, in fact, we're zoomed out to the point where you have Auburn University Montgomery already plotted here, and you're keying in and your pointer arrow happens to be up in here somewhere, and you're keying in the coordinate for Huntington College, it's going to snap to that point that's already in the map, and it's going to lay Huntington College right down on top of AUM. So when you plot those points that are really close together, you have to zoom in like this so that they'll plot separately and avoid that snap tolerance distance. Just keep that in mind. Okay, because I'm not going to plot all these points. Now, before we go to NEMA, let's go ahead and do one other thing. Add a legend entry. So legend, add legend entry, and let's go to universities, click the drop down, and put a check in university and click OK. I know there are no universities, but you can add a legend entry, and then as we key them in, they'll pop in here. But before we do that, let's go ahead and change the symbol. So I'm going to double left click on the symbol. This is the legend symbol. This is the legend entry. We can change both of those. You notice there's a 0 in there. There's the 67 counties and 1 Alabama. Double left click. Here's the symbol. It's 5-point and it's blue. Under properties, left click. Okay. Under predefined, you'll see this type, predefined. Left click and go down to GeoMedia feature symbol files. GeoMedia feature symbol files. When it's blue, left click. Okay. It hopefully knows where to go. Browse. And here's where the symbol files are located. You want to left click on base map. Left click. So it's highlighted. Click open. Now you notice it's got something in there, the source, base map FSM feature symbol. And it has aqueduct tunnel. And down here it already has a symbol. Let's left click in aqueduct and type school bold. You don't even have to get that far, just start typing school, left click that, change to 12-point, there it is, and you see define override color, check in that box, and it went back to blue. Let's make this dark, gorgeous LSU purple, and click OK. Apply will make it come up in the legend, and OK. So now we've defined a symbol for our universities. Okay, let's go to NEMA. I think we're already there. All right, and we're going to search domestic names by left-clicking on that. This is the search window. It looks just like that search window. I'm going to leave this back here because I think I'm going to type. No, it's not going to let me do that. I'm going to open up a Word doc so I can show you how to fix these, or at least record one of them. I can't write on this screen. I'll get this over here. We'll do that. Let's get this. Let's kind of pull this. I get so many things open here, I don't know what I'm dealing with. Okay. No, I think we got enough of it anyways. Okay. Feature name. Auburn University. Okay, that's all we have to type in there. We're not going for exact match. If we're going for exact match, I tell you, I would suggest you avoid that because then it's going to have to be exact. State is Alabama. County is Montgomery. And it'll come up even without this if you don't put a county. And it is a school, so we'll scroll down to schools. Highlight that. That's all we need to do. Auburn University, Alabama, Montgomery School, send query. There it is. Auburn University, Montgomery. It's a school. It's in Montgomery, Alabama. Was recorded on the 1st of December 2003 is the entry date for that. This Baratius is the USGS 7.5 minute quad sheet that it's located on. Here's the elevation in feet, 233 feet. Here's the longitude, 086, 10, 38 west. Okay, let me drag this down if we can get it to come down. You'll notice we don't have west here. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to modify this so that we can read it and key it in there. Now you could have this here, but you're going to have to move this around. So I'm just going to type it here so that I convert it into what we need. That would be minus 86. colon. Then it would be 10 colon, and it would be 38.0, comma, space. Okay, so that's how it should appear. Minus 86 colon 10 colon 38.0. You'll notice we don't have 3 zeros out there like here. We don't need that. And I didn't left zero insert. You can or can't. You don't have to. Left zero insert is a good way to make sure that you didn't miss something, but you don't need it here. Okay, the latitude is 32, and it is positive, 32 colon 22 colon 15.0. Now, why is this negative? It's west of the prime meridian. Why is this positive? It's north of the equator. If Montgomery, Alabama, was south of the equator, this would have to be a minus as well. So those are the coordinates we're going to have to key in. Okay? So I've got them recorded, so you know how you have to do the conversion. This W isn't in there, anything like that. You can't like left click, drag this up and copy it in there. So let's minimize this now. And I have those coordinates 32, 22, 15.0, and I've got 86, 10, 30. No. Okay, let me go ahead and do those. It's 80, 86, 10. Well, you know what I can do? I'll do this. No. 86, 10, 38.0. And we have 32 colon 22 colon 15.0. Okay, we'll do it that way. 38.0. I want to minimize this thing now, get rid of this. Okay, the first sequence of events or clicks you have to do to insert this, the universities to key in one, is you have to insert feature. Left click on feature. You'll notice you get a drop down now, so a third row in the tools. Left click on the drop down, go to universities, and select the feature university. If you don't do this, it won't work. And then you'll notice that as I'm moving around on the screen, my little bold school is chasing me around. My pointer, which is now a bullseye. That enables me to, if I had a map that was georeferenced, left click and place a school. We're not doing it that way. And we have this place point at angle thingy dingy there. Don't worry about that. What we're going to do is we're going to go up here in the live read display, left click once to turn it dark, black, select it all, left click one more time, and then move your mouse over here. Do not bring it back down into the map window or it'll start this live coordinate display again. So you're up there, and then I use the arrow keys, which are next to the number pad on mine, and I'm just moving around. And 87 has to be changed to 86. So I'm going to hold the shift key down and arrow to the right, and I've changed, and I've got the 7 highlighted. I'm just going to type in my number pad 6. I'm going to arrow past the colon. The 57 has to be 10. So I'm going to change that to a 10 by holding my shift key, arrow twice. Arrow past without the shift key down, and the rest of it has to be 38.0. So I'm going to hold my shift key, arrow, arrow, arrow across there till I get there everywhere except the colon, and I'm going to go 38.0. Then I'm going to, without my finger on the shift key, the 35 has to be a 32. So I'm going to go past, arrow past the 3, shift key down, highlight the 5, make it a 2, arrow to the right. And if the 18 has to be 22, so I've passed the colon, shift key down, 1, 2, make that 22, arrow past the colon. The rest of it I can highlight by shift key down, and that's 15.0. Without touching my mouse, I hit the enter key on the keyboard. You'll notice that now I can come back down with my mouse now. There's the school bold. It placed it in the correct position in Montgomery County. I left click in the university name and type Auburn University at Montgomery. Spell that. Okay, and you'll notice here you can use spaces because it's a populated attribute. Click OK. Now it's the correct color. Now I'm done geocoding for the moment, so I'm going to hit my escape key to get out of that mode, and I want to label this. So I go to Insert, Label. Label features in, click the drop down, University, and we want university name. That's the attribute we created, remember? It highlighted. Now we have a bunch of information over here we can key in. We want to align it center left. Center left means that it will place a text node centered up and down vertically and to the left of the text. And that node will attach to this feature right here. So there's an issue that's going to come up, and you'll see how we solve that in a minute. But center left is where we want it. We can leave it as labels of universities. Let's left click on the font style, and let's change this Arial by left clicking in that box to start typing Garamond, G-A-R. And finally, when you get to Garamond, left click it, and let's make it 8. Let's make it even smaller than that. 7, bold. Click OK, and click OK. Now, I don't know what's happening in the virtual desktop, but it's doing funky stuff tonight, but don't worry about it. We could probably hit fit all or zoom out. Yep. Fit all, you'll notice that that boldness went away. Okay. Now you notice that if I look at this, Auburn, the A of Auburn is over top of the symbol. That's a no-no. So what I want you to do is I want you to go up to the text symbol, double left click, and go to Properties. What we need to do is we need to offset the x-axis. Remember way back in your geometry class that the x-axis is the horizontal, the y-axis is the vertical. And we're going to left click in here, left click one more time, and we're going to offset it 2 millimeters. Click OK. Let's move this out of the way. Click Apply. It popped it over there, and it keeps highlighting this for some reason. And click OK. So now you'll notice that it's offset to the side. Beautiful, just beautiful. We're going to do one other thing, and then I believe we're going to set a buffer zone around here too. I think what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to plot another university, but I'm not going to use the NEMA site. Because I'm lazy, and for demonstration purposes, I'm just going to insert another university in here. Feature. We're at universities, and I'm going to go up here to right there, I think it is. And I'm going to call that University of Alabama. Okay. And you notice that everything plots perfectly. Hit escape. And all of the parameters that you assign to this label or to that label, the symbol's correct. If the symbol's too big, looks too big for you, change it, make it smaller. We could go in here, double left click on this, and let's drop this down to 11. A little bit better, not quite as big. Okay, we're going to do a buffer zone. So a buffer zone is a query. So analysis, buffer zone. It's a query, and it's an analytical query. What do we want a buffer zone around? We want a buffer zone around universities. So left click on that. We want it to be constant, and we're going to do 10 miles. We're going to make it red boundary. And let's fill it with red too. But let's make it 85% translucent. That's what it's going to look like. It's going to appear in the map window. Click OK. So now we have a buffer zone around those locations, and you notice that that's on top. And being on top, it's the selectable layer, so it's the active layer. Now, what could we do with that buffer zone? Oh, we could take all other features that are available and either displayed or not displayed, but are in the legend, turned off, and we could filter those out. So we could actually ask it to show everything that's within that 10-mile radius. There's lots of things we can do with it. Now, here's the rub. Part of this lab, I ask you to buffer zone around Auburn University at Montgomery only. So I'm going to put a 20-mile buffer zone around Auburn University at Montgomery only. Now you notice that if I buffer around university the feature, it's going to catch every feature. So there's a trick to this. And as the old folks say, there is more than one way to skin a cat. This is one way to skin the cat. Okay, if I wanted to just buffer around the university that is named Auburn University at Montgomery, how could I do that? Well, I could do an attribute query. So I could query universities for all universities where the university name is Auburn University at Montgomery. That would provide a point. Okay, I wouldn't necessarily have to display the point, but the GIS knows the point's there. Then I could buffer around that query. Ooh, that sounds like fun. Let's try that. Okay, we're going to go up to Analysis, Attribute Query. Select features in universities, university, filter, right there. University name is equal to show values. Yes, Auburn University at Montgomery. Put it down there. Click OK. And let's call this attribute query a AUM so we know which one we got to pick. And let's not display it anywhere. Just say OK. All right, now I'm going to buffer around it. So I'm going to turn these buffers off. And I'm going to go Analysis, Buffer Zone, Queries, Attribute Query AUM, and we'll make this one 15 miles. And we'll leave it that funky color. No, we won't. We'll make it something else. Let's make it purple with purple fill. That's 85%. Sort it out. Display buffer zone in data window, not necessary. Let's go ahead and display it. There it is. Isn't that incredible? Now we were able to, and you'll notice, if we actually wanted to display the query, I could go into legend, add legend entry, take this query, but see, I told it not to because I don't want to show that. I want the symbol, the original symbol to show through. Attribute query of AUM, I could go OK. And then if it was green or something or some other, awful color, it would appear. We don't want that. So we can just delete that. So you see how we skinned the cat by doing that. One other element I want to show you, and then you're on your own, kid. We're going to zoom out once, right click. I'm going to go to Warehouse. I'm going to go to Feature Class Definition. Under Universities, I'm going to do New Feature, and I'm going to do Map Label. Map. underscore hello label. It's text. You've done this before, but I'm taking you through it again. Click OK. Yes, primary key. Now it's there. Click close. And let's insert some text. Insert text. We're going to select universities. You notice there's no text feature. There's only one text feature in here, map label. Left click on that. And we're going to override. Let's go to 18 point, and let's make this Garamond. And I'll put this right down here. I clicked up in here. Now I'm down here, and I'm going to type Al universities. And I still have the option, if I don't left click, I'm moving this around, getting it where I want it, and left click. Click OK. You'll notice it's still there. Hit escape, and you're out of there. Then we can, I think it's extremely large. I'm going to left click on that, edit, go to text, edit text, and I'm going to change that to about maybe 14 or something like that. Yeah, that's better. Fit all. And there is my Lab 3, except you have quite a few other schools and some other things to do here. Let me see if there is anything else just for a quick moment that I think you need to know. I don't believe so. Once again, the only part of this lab that you have to do is this particular part of the exercise, part A, or part 1. Don't do part 2, and don't worry about the cities. Well, one other thing we could do. Let's insert a label quick, and we're going to label Alabama the counties, and we want to do county name. It's always nice to have that. I don't know if I tell you to do this. That'd be center because you want to center a polygon. And this time, let's once again, you want to preserve the naming the naming convention. So you always want to use the same font in a map. So if you start with Garamond, end with Garamond. If you start with Times New Roman, end with Times New Roman. Let's get this down to 4, maybe 5. See, that's big. Looks too big, so I'm going to change that, and I should have gone with a 4. First choice. Gut. That's nice. Okay, so now we have that. We have University of Alabama. There's some other things we could do on the map label, not on the map label, but labels of universities. If we double left click here, under properties, we could display a halo. A halo would be white, and if we went it like 2 points, what it's going to do is it's going to put, you see what it does? It puts this white halo around the letters, apply OK, and it makes it so if you zoom in here, this line disappears in white. Technically, that's a violation of cartographic principles if you don't halo around this stuff. That's probably not enough. We could go in there again, labels of universities, go into properties, and let's assign a 4-point halo. That's probably too big, but just to show you what happens. There you go. And now you see all the boundaries disappeared. Now you haven't violated any naming conventions. I don't really like this where the name of Russell County is covered up by the university name. We could probably go in there and get them down to about 5 points. Still, There's an argument right there for making a label a feature instead. So we can hit that, zoom out. There's your lab.